Hey, Andre Meadows, Black Nerd Comedy, and everybody else. I listened to Andre's reaction video and his thoughts on the upcoming Riverdale series, in which a trailer was released for on the CW. And, Andre, I totally get where you and maybe many others are coming from. You guys don't. Some of you are okay with what's going on, and some of you are like, no, this is not right. And you totally got a point there. You really do. Um, but here's the thing, Andre, and I think you did touch upon this. It's about evolution. And what I mean by, and what you and I think even I mean by evolution is what Archie is doing here is not just collaborating with the CW on a series to help celebrate the 75th anniversary, but it's also to help continue that legacy that the Archie franchise began 75 years prior and has kept going throughout the decades. You know, it's about keeping your loyal fan base, your readers, your subscribers that have grown up with Archie since they were kids and are now high schoolers, college students, young adults. It's about keeping them around, and continuously enjoying your product. And that's what this is about. And that's why you have something like Riverdale coming out. It's about evolving and keep the legacy of the Archie franchise alive, but also keep that fan base, that viewership, the loyal fan base that you've had since they were kids, keep them around. Because there's a lot of adults, college students, high school students that may have grown up with Archie when they were kids, but are now at that point where they question whether or not reading Archie or enjoying Archie comics is a cool thing. That's why you have Riverdale to keep their interest, to keep them talking, to have, to give them something to talk about as they're heading to class, as while they're in high school or while they're in college, or heck, if they're a young adult and they're working in a business. Gives them something to talk about in the lounge room or in the water cooler or whatever. That's why Riverdale is happening because it will, in Archie's case, in their mindset, it gives people something that grew up on the series, grew up on the characters. It gives them even at their adult age or young adult age something more to talk about to keep that interest. It's kind of like with the Berenstain Bears, as crazy as that sounds. Back in the mid 90s, back in the mid 90s, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, back in the mid 90s, for nearly 7 to 8 years, Mike Berenstain, along with his brother and his parents, made these books become a reality. Now, we all know as kids growing up reading Berenstain Bears that the books we would primarily read would be the first time books, which these are. But Mike knew or had an idea that as we got older, we weren't going to be wanting to read these books that much. Yeah, we might want to keep them for our kids or pass them on to a new generation and all of that in our family. But Mike Berestein had the insight basically to realize, hey, we need to keep those viewers or those readers, that fan base, we have to keep that fan base interested. We got to keep them intrigued. We got to keep them, coming back for more. And that's why he, along with his parents and his brother, came up with a big chapter book series for the kids and young teens, adolescents, if you will, as they got older. As kids grew up into adolescence and started growing up and started growing out of this, Mike realized, hey, if we're going to keep them intrigued and still interested in what we do, boom, let's give them this. And that's what they did. And these were the big chapter books. And they dealt with other things more complex, more dramatic, if not more mature wise, than the first time books did. And that was because Mike realized the time had come to evolve with the audience. Unfortunately, the big chapter books didn't really last that long. Like I said, they lasted about 7 to 8 years, but still, they were there for that core, for to keep that core audience, that fan base that they had accumulated throughout the years that grew up on the first time books, and it kept them around for a little longer because now they had a book series of their own with more mature, complex, dramatic stories than what you would see in first time books. So the Berenstain Bears, mostly the Berenstain family of Mike and his parents, are no strangers to growing up with the audience. And that's what Archie is doing. Archie Comics is doing with this collaboration with CW. They have grown up with the audience, and now you have this series that, even though it's a different take, a more teen angst, dramatic, almost Twilight kind of take, it's evolving, it's growing up along with its audience. That's why it's here. I mean, when Archie's Weird Mysteries came out, this came out what, in late 90s, early 2000s? When Archie's Weird Mysteries came out, and yes, it has a TVY7 rating, do you think they made this with the intention for that young audience that grew up on the new Archies or even the reruns of the Archie show? No, they made this with the intention of growing up with the fan base. You see, they realized that those that probably watched the new Archie show and the Archie show reruns were growing up, and like I mentioned earlier, were starting to question whether or not they should start looking into other things. So to keep that fan base, you had Weird Mysteries come out. And that's what its intention was to keep its fan base, to keep those people that probably those kids and adolescents that started questioning whether or not they should stop reading Archie comics and liking the Archie characters. That's where Weird Mysteries came in. It kept them intrigued. It kept them interested. It gave them something to talk about, in the fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade classes, even fourth grade classes. And that's what Riverdale is going to be about. But this time it's something to give people to talk about around the water cooler or the work lounge during lunches or breaks while they're at work, or give them something to talk about during their intermissions between college classes. Now, it says when they're at college, or when they're going between classes at college, or even high school, during the high school breaks or lunch breaks. It will give them something to talk about. That's why Riverdale is being presented the way it is. Now, do I agree with some of the decisions they're making? Not really. I mean, you basically, as you pointed out, Andre, you're basically taking a character like, let's say, Miss Grundy, and you're de-aging her to the point that, yeah, she's a teacher, but she's a teacher that looks like she's barely out of freaking high school, out of freaking college, and now she has some kind of fling or thing for Archie behind the scenes. And it's like, you know, if you're a longtime fan, and I'm pretty sure you've thought about this, you're thinking to yourself, why? Why can't you just keep her the age she's presented as, if not a little older? Why can't you make her a regular? Why can't you keep her the way she was, age-wise, or maybe just in her, 40s or something like that? Why couldn't you keep her at an age that would not allow this to happen? Why couldn't you keep her at that age of 50, 45 years old? Why couldn't you do that? Yet you're presenting her as someone that's in her early to mid 20s, and she's a teacher, or an agricultural teacher, or whatever kind of teacher she is, that Archie and his friends attend class and learn that, who Archie and his friends are taught by in a class. It's like, where's the thinking behind that? Why? Why? So you can add a third wheel? What, is this the answer because Cheryl Blossom's not going to really be a romantic factor in Archie's life? So you got to put a de-aged younger Miss Grundy in her place? Are you trying to? I mean, and again, the way when I saw how the young Miss Grundy in this trail looked at Archie, the thought that went through my mind as well is, are you going to turn this incarnation of Miss Grundy into a slut, into someone that wants to have wants to be in bed with Archie all the time? Is that what you're doing? You're going to turn her into a freaking slut to like, oh, during the day she's fine, she's a teacher, but behind the scenes she's really this seductress, mistress, whatever. It's like, seriously? It's like, you to a lot of longtime fans, you're changing the dynamic of a character. Now, unless they do call back to her disdain for Archie later on in the series, like something happens and her and Archie break it off, and she looks at Archie as a bitter enemy now, or something like that, down the line in the series, then I can understand that. I could accept this. But it's like, seriously? You're going to go in this direction? I mean, a lot of people complained about the fact that Aunt May got de-aged in in Captain America Civil War and in Spider-Man Homecoming. What, so she can have a relationship with Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark character? That's it? So that's why you're de-aging Miss Grundy in Riverdale, because what, Marvel's doing it for Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's Aunt May, so you got to do it with Miss Grundy in Riverdale? Is that the new thing? If you're making a new movie or series to take an older established character, like let's say a Aunt May or a Miss Grundy, and de-age them so they can be more relatable to the younger audience? No, it doesn't make any sense. Doesn't really make any sense. Unless whatever mystery is going on there in Riverdale, turns out to be some kind of magical, mystical thing, and that in the end she does get re-aged, up-aged, re-aged back to her real age of being an old lady. Okay, fine, we can understand that too. But you see, that's the one thing that gets people talking. It's getting me talking right now because of the fact that that's how a lot of fans would look at it. It's like, why? You de-age her because what? You would de-age her what? Because you want her to have a secret relationship with Archie that's forbidden. Teacher and student shouldn't be together. It's like, come on, seriously. I mean, I can understand when the Berenstain Bears in the old television series on CBS did an episode called The Substitute Teacher, which they did adapt into a big chapter book series, a more thorough, more mature, complex, or more thorough, matured version of it in the big chapter book series. But when they did the original Except New Substitutes cartoon short in the 1980s series on CBS, the substitute teacher that Too Tall and his friends, along with brother and cousin Fred, were getting ready to prank, turns out to be an attractive young woman that looks like she's just out of high school or college. And Too Tall and the boys notice this when they see her, are smitten with her to the point that they want to stop the prank from happening. So I can understand maybe if, I can understand, and so could fans understand that, if they wanted to do that with the Miss Grundy character to where when we first see her, it's like, oh man, we're smitten with her just like the characters are, just like Archie and Reggie and Jughead and Moose are. That's fine. Perfect. No problem. But that's not going to be the case here. And in the end, when you think about it, it's in the end, when you think about it, decisions like de-aging Miss Grundy in the series to have a secret, forbidden affair with Archie, that's going to be one of the decisions either comes back to bite the creators behind the series, comes back to bite Archie Comics and CW in the back, or it comes back in a positive light. It's either going to be a positive thing or a negative thing, the decisions they make. And I've read up on some of the decisions they've made and some of the changes they've made to the characters, personality and everything, and character traits. And it's like, these decisions, in my opinion, are either going to help them and make the series more popular and intriguing than they thought it would, or it's going to hurt them because fans are not used to seeing the characters like this. It's I know I've said this before, and I know I always bring this up in the discussion, But it's like with me, it's like with me and several others during the Mecha Sally arc. We didn't like it because of the fact that it wasn't because Sally was roboticized and then later on weaponized with armor, not taken apart, but it was the fact that the things that came out of her mouth, the things she said, Sally would never do. Sally would never say. And yeah, you had the characters back that up by saying that's not Sally saying that. But still, it was verbally, it was her. And the way she would say things and all that, in the way she acted, it's like we couldn't accept that. That's why for me, even though I was subscribed to the comic still, I didn't read any of the issues till the end until 247. That's when I tore into each one and read them, and you saw that. So you know the thing is, when that happened with Sally, I I did my own thing. I did my own protest. Yeah, I was still subscribed to them, but I didn't read anything till the end because I knew once 247 came around and it was going to be presented the way they were advertising it, and that several issues later things were going to be better. Heck, I saw the freaking like a lot of you. I saw the freaking what was it the you know I saw the picture of Sally's redesign before it happened, and I was like, okay, I'll wait till that comes out. And when I knew 247 was going to lead to a crossover, and then that crossover was going to lead into the new soft retcon reboot that we're currently in now, I was like, okay, 247 comes around, I'll read it all. That's what I did. Because I did not like what they had done with Sally. I didn't. And in my opinion, there was a lot of fans that sided with me, agreed with me on that. And that, in a sense, kind of hurt Archie Comics. In a sense, it hurt the sales of the book, and it hurt the trust fans had in them because, yeah, you could say Ian Flynn came up with the idea to do that to her, but still, it was Archie Comics that approved it. And it was a decision that some liked and some didn't. And those that didn't, they either stopped reading the book, stopped buying it, and the sales kind of dropped because of that. And that trust after, now that when the soft retcon reboot is slowly starting to be regained, if not regained at all. It's like those that dropped the book or stopped reading the book after that, if they're starting to slowly come back, but they're slowly coming back, but they still don't trust Archie Comics that much. They don't trust any decisions that they will allow to happen because of what they allowed Ian Flynn to do to Sally. That's about it. And that's the same thing, as crazy as it sounds, with the Riverdale series. Riverdale is either going to be make or break for them. And some of the decisions they've made to change with some of the characteristical changes in personalities, some of the characteristical personality changes, I should say, with the characters, some of the relationships, some of the, you know, uh, decisions on the different changes in basically the decisions they've made on the characteristics of the characters from the personalities and the relationships with each other. Those decisions that they've allowed to happen in the series is going to either help make the series or it's going to help break the series. And it's either going to make Archie reel back and say, okay, we've got enough viewers for another season, but we need to change things up to make it more familiar. Or if it works, they're going to be like, let's do more. It's either going to be make or break for them, Andre. And those watching, you guys know it as well. So, in my opinion, I look at Riverdale as just an opportunity for the Archie Comics franchise to not just celebrate the 75th anniversary, but to evolve and grow up with the audience that has grown up with them. But also, if you want to look at it in another way, you can also look at it as an alternate universe. Yeah. Taking a page out of Ninja Turtles, look at it as an alternate universe where This is a different Archie, a different timeline, a different Archie world, and it has nothing to do with what's going on in the comics. That's the way you gotta look at it. Like this is just another alternate world and timeline, alternate take, if you will. So really, that's just my response on the whole Riverdale thing, Andre, and those people that are watching. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. But again, that's just my take on it and how I see it. And all I can say is Archie Comics, CW, I wish you the best of luck with Riverdale because this is going to be hit or miss for you guys in the end. Peace out.